Youngpreneurs Podcast, episode number 143 with your host, Victor Ahipeni. What's up, world? Another day, another podcast. And today I have Ellie Burscough on the show. She's a local from Brisbane, where I live, and we are going to dive pretty deep into her business and how it's become a successful six-figure business where she's gone from being a call center worker to a personal trainer and built that up to a six-figure business, was able to sell it, and now how she's helping others do the same in their businesses. She helps people with their mindset and their business strategy on a whole lot of different levels, from low all the way up to high. And you know that I often call out business coaches because they are often not walking the walk or haven't walked the walk. They've just learned from somebody how to teach what they just learned and how to teach that to somebody else, and it can be a bit of a dodgy world, but Ellie is definitely not that. And it was awesome to be able to find out a lot more personally about her, for me personally, and there's a lot of value in there. As usual, all the show notes and previous episodes are over at passiveincomeyoung.com. You can also pick up how to start your own online business, and I've got 4 free videos on there for you to dive into. If you're enjoying the show, make sure you jump over to iTunes, leave a rating and review. It helps this show get out to more people and see the value that our guests, and hopefully myself at times, are bringing to you. Grab a pen and paper, there's a ton of value, and in the meantime, guys, keep living life on your own terms. You're listening to the Youngpreneurs Podcast, the #1 resource online for under 35-year-olds, where we chat twice a week to the most inspiring entrepreneurs in the world. We have it all. If you're looking for inspiration, guidance, or actionable tips to help you transition from that job into a business, or if you're ready to take that business to a whole new level, then this is the place to be. Get ready to live life on your own terms. Youngpreneurs, welcome to another episode of the Youngpreneurs Podcast. I'm your host, Victor Ahipeni, and I'm proud and thankful that you have chosen to spend some time with myself and my awesome guest today, Ellie Burscough. And she is a business and mindset coach. And I'm sure many of you are going, uh-oh, what's going on here, Victor? You always bag business and mindset coaches on your show. But don't worry, I have thoroughly vetted Ellie. She mainly through having beers, and we broke through a few barriers, and we both share the same mindset that you wanted to walk the walk and talk the talk, not just be that person who hasn't. So welcome to the show, and it's awesome to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, especially if you don't normally like people like me.
No, it's not like you. I just I like to make sure people actually have runs on the board before they come out here, and they're not just coaches who are coaching coaches to be coaches.
Yeah, totally. That have never had a business before.
Exactly. So on that point, give us a bit of a background. What was growing up? Was entrepreneurship always destined on the cards? Was that always going to be what you were going to do, or did it come across randomly?
Yeah, so I actually, from when I was little, ever since I can remember, like when I was about 3, I wanted to be a teacher, primary school teacher. And I actually went to uni to study teaching for special education. And I ended up dropping out because I was a bit of a party girl and I got into some trouble. And so I didn't end up finishing my degree. And I was devastated at the time. I was heartbroken, but my mum said, you'll end up teaching anyway, and I am. It's just in a different way than what I thought, and much better than being a primary school teacher anyway.
That's what I crack up about is my accounting teacher at school said I should be a teacher because I like the sound of my own voice, but that was just before he used to kick me out of class, so it was usually for too much talking.
I think I always got detention for talking too much, and I was always called bossy when I was little as well. I actually used to put my hand over my sister's mouth when she tried to talk because I had to talk.
I've got something to say, not you.
Yeah.
And so after the teaching, what was the kind of, like, where do you go from that? How do you, I guess, first off bounce back from being devastated that you can't be a teacher anymore, and I can relate. I partied too hard at uni and took me an extra year to become a physio, and same sort of thing. But yeah, there's the devastation, and then I mean I probably should have pulled the pin on it then, but didn't. So where did you go from there?
So at the same time that I was at uni and partying, I'd managed to get high distinctions, and I was partying like 3 or 4 times a week, and I was working 25 hours a week. And so I don't know how. I think you can just do that when you're young. But I was working in call centers from when I was 19. So I worked in call centers for 5 years in a range of different roles. And I actually got some really good skills from that, sales and marketing skills and the different roles that I had. And then when I actually went and lived overseas in England, where I was born, for a year in 2008, 2009. And when I was there, I met my partner, and I actually fell pregnant after I'd only known him for like 2 months. And I was hitchhiking through Portugal and Spain when I found out. And that just changed everything. And he ended up following me back to Australia. He's Portuguese. And you know, being pregnant, I came back, worked in a call center again, but I realized I didn't want to be working 40 hours a week, making $500 a week, and to put my child in daycare full time. I thought, and not bagging out anyone who has to do this or wants to do that, but for me, I felt, what's the point in having a kid if I was going to do that and not be, So I ended up, I put on a lot of weight. I put on 20 kilos in pregnancy. And I looked around after I had my daughter for like a boot camp for mums that wasn't some bitchy, clicky thing, and where I could lose the weight, and I couldn't find it. And so I ended up losing 29 kilos in 7 months after having my daughter by myself. And I created what I'd wanted for myself, mums boot camps with an awesome community with babysitting included, to kind of, because of my own journey, plus filling that gap in the market that I'd found as well. And that was my first business.
Nice. And how did you evolve it from, or did you evolve it from you being the business to it being a business?
Yeah, probably not in that business, but after that. So I ran that business for 2 years, and I took that to like 200K in under 2 years. And I invested in a mentor early on, so they really helped me. Plus, just I'd been living on Centrelink actually, in between finishing at the call center and starting my business. And I just wanted to create a better life and lifestyle for myself and my family. And so that was my driver. That was like my push to, just create something better. And I did stupid stuff as well. Like I was making sales calls when I was in labor with my second kid. That was my attitude at the time, you know, that hustle mentality. And so I actually ended up selling that business after 2 years. And in that second year, after I'd made at least 100 grand in my business, that was only after that I started coaching people. Because I wanted to have, you know, that credibility behind me and results behind me before I started giving other people advice.
So what were the critical things that differentiated, like, you found your niche on the kind of the mums and bubs type thing with the daycare. Was that your main differentiator in that whole sphere? Because it's like ultra competitive, like who wants to be a personal trainer these days, as in like, you want to be one, cool, pay us enough money and come and sit with us for 6 weeks, or do it online, or do whatever the hell you want, and you can come out. And so there's such a variation of skill levels, but like we both know, your skills and ability don't determine how much money you make. You can be the smartest trainer in the world but charge $50 an hour and just be living on not a lot. So how did you differentiate yourself, and how did you make money?
So I think there's like three types of people really. There's the trainers who aren't good and so they won't do very well. There's the trainers that are good that you just mentioned. They're really, really good at what they do, but they have no idea about business. And then the third is someone who's good at what they do and good at business. And they've worked on the business strategy and learnt about business, but also worked on their own mindset and own personal development so that they can charge what they're worth. And they, and that's what I did really. I was that third one where, there's probably a lot of other trainers who were so much better than me and more knowledgeable than me, but I was a good trainer and a good person who actually cared about the people I was helping and showed them that, and really built an amazing community through not just showing up to sessions, but they had an online program included. They had a Facebook group. We had monthly prizes for Mum of the Month. We had monthly outings. We did a whole heap of cool stuff. Plus, I'd invested in myself heavily in business mentors, like coaching and personal development, and working on my mindset so that I could continue stepping up in business as well.
How did you transition to a sale of the business? Like, was that an easy thing? Was it just, here's the numbers, or like, because I mean, you were the intangible kind of in the business that, it's hard to rip. Like, I just know, having dealt with a lot of the health professionals or just people in general, like, you've got a hustle mentality. You're doing sales call as you're finding out the gender of your baby. Oh, it's a girl or a boy. It's a, oh yeah, cool. So I'll close you on that. But it's, yeah, I mean, there's that a person who goes, cool, I'm going to buy this successful business and ergo I'm going to be successful, whereas that's not the case. So how did that go about, the whole sales process?
Yeah, so that second year of business, I was pregnant again, and I was putting a lot of systems and automation and structure in place so that I could step away from the business. I wasn't planning to sell it at that stage, but so that I could take a little bit of time off. Yep. And so that worked really well in being able to sell it, because there was structure there. The person I sold it to was one of my trainers. So she already knew the clients, they knew her, she had a vested interest in the business. I didn't sell it for very much, but I know in that kind of industry, it's very uncommon to sell a boot camp. You've got to have some kind of physical thing, like a gym, for example, to sell a business. So I ended up selling it to her. The reason why, I think it sold was because of her already being a part of the business, having those systems in place, and having an email list.
Yeah.
So I sold her, like, if I had a really small email list, I don't think she would have bought it, because all of my clients could have left, as soon as you sell a business, you've got nothing to say, well, they're going to stay or not.
Yep.
So I sold her a list with it of about 3,500 people that if anyone did leave, she could get on the phone and sell those people.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, she ran it into the ground because she thought, oh, Ellie's run this really amazing thing and everyone loves her and it's an amazing business, but she didn't have the personal development, the marketing, the business kind of mentality that I had. So she ended up getting rid of it.
Yeah, and you can only do so much about that anyway on your side of things. I mean, that's what I mean. It's like you can set it up to sell, and that's all you can do. Like, as long as you're not selling them snake oil on the other end, which obviously you weren't. And it's up to them to make it work and grow and work for them. Exactly. So you transitioned into the coaching sphere. How was the transition with that? Had you already been doing it, or?
Yeah, so I'd already been doing it. I actually, when I sold that business, I still did some fitness stuff for another couple of years. And so I was running two businesses at once, so coaching and fitness. But with the fitness, I was holding myself back and playing it small. I didn't have many clients because I'd kind of been burnt before. I was like, I'm tired. My mentors had kind of kicked me to the curb and treated me like crap. And I just had all these kind of limiting beliefs. And I'm like, oh, if I keep things small, then I'm not going to have to deal with this crap anymore. But it doesn't work like that anyway. You still have to deal with stuff. And so I kind of kept myself really small for a couple of years. And I was running the two businesses and I couldn't decide between the two. And then eventually I looked at things logically and I was like, okay, the fitness business is what I'm putting more energy into, but I'm making hardly any money from it. The business coaching, I'm making good money from, and I'm not even doing any marketing or any effort into it at all. So maybe I should focus on that from like a logical perspective. And so I ended up getting rid of the fitness business. And this was probably like end of 2014. And I started getting a good mindset again, taking my business seriously again, ended up tripling my business in 3 months. And since then have just gone gone crazy. I had a mentor I didn't really gel with in 2014, plus I was in a bad mindset, can't blame anyone else. And so I'd gone from, having big weeks to making only $4,000 a month by the end of 2014.
Yeah.
And so it's really, really improved since end of 2014 to now, not just money-wise, but just really living life the way that I want to. And like what you kind of touched on before, not attaching my identity to my business as well, allowing team to step in, allowing systems and automation in place so I have more time off than I ever have, and being able to focus on, the bigger picture as well.
So what does your team look like at the moment?
I've just got rid of one actually. But yeah, which is never easy. But I've got an assistant. I had 2 assistants. One of them was doing film and photography and graphic design and stuff. I've just got 1 assistant now. I have a guy who also does some coaching and sales for me. And then I just have people on a contract kind of basis. So if I need a sales page written, I'll contract my friend to write that for me because she's awesome at copywriting.
Yeah.
I contract a guy for Facebook ad stuff when I do that. I'm about to contract a guy for film and photography moving forwards. Instead of paying someone a weekly full-time wage, I'm going to get him to fly up to Brisbane, twice a year and just do a heap of filming for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so I love kind of delving in, not into the nitty gritty of the marketing, but when you're first transitioning into the business coaching side of things, how did people find you? Like, were you marketing yourself? Was it, naturally a few people have heard that you'd done all right, or like, what kind of kicked that off? And then what does it look like now? What does your funnel, I guess, look like?
Yeah. So I'm quite different to a lot of people in that, there's a lot of coaches and a lot of people in this industry that are all about Facebook ads and funnels and lead generation and all that stuff. Most of mine is organic, and it always has been. So when I started, it was literally, I used to be in this Facebook group that had a heap of personal trainers in it, and I just started connecting with people in there. And so a lot of it started from just word of mouth, and then I would get clients really amazing results, and then they would refer people. So a lot of it still comes from that. And the rest of it now comes from like organic marketing, really just putting up content on a regular basis, connecting with people, referrals. I do Facebook ads every now and again, but not very often. I'm about to Fitness Expo this weekend coming up. But yeah, I don't really do much paid marketing. Most of it is just organic kind of content. And the biggest thing people say about me as well is that I'm really authentic. I'm not fake. I just tell it like it is. I'm really open and honest. And I say things that most people aren't willing to say because, there's a lot of ego out there. There's a lot of people faking it and pretending that they're just showing the highlight reel, I'll share my struggles. I'll share the things that that are going wrong, as well as the things that are going good. Not to rant or moan or be negative, but to show people that, don't put other people up on a pedestal because you think that they're doing amazing, because everyone has bad stuff going on as well as the good stuff.
It's absolutely crazy what perception is by people. Like I was back home, I was catching up with some friends, and they're like, "Oh, so you're a millionaire yet?" No. I'm like, let's break that down. There's $20,000 a week that I'm earning. No, like I'm not, and like just from, and I'm the same. I don't try and be like, "Hey everyone, I'm freaking sipping daiquiris on the beach all day, every day, laptop lifestyle and all that kind of carry on. But it's perception of putting yourself out there that people are like, oh, wow. But at the same time, it's finding that fine line between being a complainer and putting your blame onto other people for your, not other people, but, writing something that like, hey, this happened and this is what I learned from it. And this is how I'm moving on from it, and shit happens. This is the real life of business and entrepreneurship, and hey, guess what? I blew 10 grand doing this, and that's why I'm never doing that again. Here's a word of warning. But whereas when people come out and say, oh, hey, I made 10 grand, this week, life's peachy, and they don't talk about the last 6 weeks where they made $600. And it's
most of the time when they're saying like, oh, I made 100 grand this month, and it's like they've made a few big sales that are going to be paid off over the next 12 months. It's like, that's not cash in the bank.
Exactly. Until they decide to not pay you, the business goes insolvent. Totally. Exactly. It's and I mean, I think people appreciate not necessarily not being sold to, just being sold to when they're ready, if that makes sense. Like, the sales funnels and things are great, and they work, and it's a matter of putting stuff out there and people going, I know, like the know, like, and trust kind of the formula. But then when you're like, hey, I've got 2 spots only, like literally I've only got 2 spots, people are like, okay, I want those 2 spots. I've seen these results. And so if you were to give us over the last 2 months, your coolest story from one of your students, what would it be?
That's a good question. So I've got one client who, she's just amazing. She's been with me for just over a year now, and she's in England. She's got an acting academy in England. So I started out just with personal trainers. Now I've expanded to different kind of industries as well. And when she started with me, she was losing 1,700 pounds a month. And now she's making 12,000 pounds a month, which is around $20,000. And not only that, but she's she's got amazing things. Like she was on stage speaking recently. She got like 1,800 leads from having a stand there when she was speaking. She has like starred in films and been on TV and had interviews with like really, really big names and things like that. Been on a panel of speakers where she was one of the speakers, and there was people from the BBC and people who'd won awards and stuff, and just created an amazing tribe of clients. Plus, recently, just over the last few days, actually, her husband's actually come out as transgender. And so over the last few days, like this happened a few months or so ago, over the last few days, she's gotten on national TV in England. She's been in the papers. She's actually turned down certain interviews because it wasn't the right representation for her. And she's really kind of stepping it up in a big way, even though it's not necessarily about her business. All these people are now flocking to her because they want her to help them in just standing out and being yourself. And so I actually took not only her but her husband through, when he first came out a few months or so ago, I took them through a mindset course, and I helped him in particular be okay with who he is, and both of them went through it, and both of them are now able to deal with stuff from their past and stuff from their present so much better than anyone would be able to, because of the work that they've done on themselves.
And it's such a mindset stuff is such a hard thing to explain to those who are ignorant to it. I mean, ignorant in a nice way. Like your average Joe blogs. Like I went to one of Tony Robbins' events a while ago with one of my friends, and he said like he couldn't get over when he was in his office, like all these people who had no idea who Tony Robbins was. And then he's like, oh yeah, I went to one of his things for 4 days, and they're like, oh, did you get brainwashed, or did you they've got these preconceived notions of what it's like. Whereas like I try and say to people, like, can you just please go to Tony Robbins? Like, can you just go to him?
Yeah.
Just walk in there. I don't need to explain any of it all. Just go in with an open mind and sit there. Because the amount of people I know who have been sent by people and they've just sit there and going, you know, they see all the crazy happy clappies at the start on the first day, and then by day 4 they're a bloody happy clappy. And but the transitions that you can make with mindset when you're getting the right tools to do it is just huge. And I mean, yeah, I'm sure I'm like everybody else that you're always working through different things, and on a different when you go to another level you're dealing with other things, but it's being consciously not competent but consciously aware, self-aware that I probably need some work on it. And it's so that's an absolutely awesome story of, I guess, for those out there going, she improved her money significantly, but it's also, I'm sure you can you can be testament that money to a degree makes you happy, and then a lot of people struggle with that whole, above 70 grand money doesn't make you any happy. Everyone's like, I bet you I'd be happy, but like literally it won't. It just means you have one less stress to worry about. But then if you're making $500,000 a year, you've got other stuff to worry about. You still got to have relationships and time and happiness, and
totally. Got more worries.
Exactly. You're just like, oh, okay, I don't have to worry about where rent or the mortgage is coming from or the car repayments coming from this week, but I also have to worry where 7 people's incomes are coming from this week, and how my business is going to grow and survive and stay, and how am I going to be happy and have a good relationship, and all the other things that others have to worry about as well. So
that's happened to me a lot lately. Like I've just had so much stress, and it's like, it's hard when I found that as I've been kind of stepping up over the last few months even, like when you're in that leadership position and you're the strong kind of one for a lot of other people, and people look up to you, and you're a coach as well and helping people, sometimes like you want to have a bad day or you want to have a cry, and it's like, well, and I've had a lot of stress with different things going on in my business. I also had my US visa wasn't approved, and I'm supposed to be flying next week, so it has been a lot of stress. But it, when you do that mindset work on yourself, it's a testament to my mindset that I have been able to cope with all these stresses and still have some of my biggest months ever in business, and and still have time out for myself and time with my kids and stuff like that as well.
So with going back to your business, what does it look like to work with you? Like, is it different levels? Can everybody work with you? Like, how does it kind of work? Because you've obviously, time's scarce and we've only got so much time. So how to if people, this isn't necessarily the sales pitch, but what does it look like to work with you?
So I do have different levels, and like I said before, I initially started with just personal trainers, then expanded to coaches. I've expanded a little bit outside of that now as well. So like I have one guy who runs an adult entertainment business, so like stripping and life drawing and stuff like that, which normally I wouldn't take someone like that on, but we just connected really well at Kerwin Ray's event last year actually, and I just saw a lot of potential in him and wanted to help him. I've got another guy who like sells motorbikes and does custom made motorbikes, so it's more like sometimes it might be the particular business, but sometimes it's just like I've got to gel with them on a personality level, and they've got to have goals that I see the purpose in as well, and that I get excited about. But with the different levels, so I like have my low end, which is mainly online. There's group calls, there's a membership site, there's it's a really, really awesome community, but that's really good for people who maybe are just starting out or don't have good cash flow. So it's not like spend thousands and thousands of dollars. They can actually start somewhere. I have a mid-level program which is called Six Figure System, and that's really just a deeper kind of understanding of stuff. They get the exact copy and Facebook ads and things like that, just step by step, more detail than my lower end. And it has like group calls every week and a 2-day event as well. And then I have my high end, which is my VIP. And the way that this works really well as well is that people will step up from my low end to my mid-level. And then from the mid-level, they're all raving about it to the people in the low end. So then it just sells itself now because they've got amazing results. Like one of them, she's 58-year-old grandma who has a studio in rural New South Wales. She made $10,600 in 4 days. She's first time ever making sales calls. And she's like, oh, I like sales calls. And then, people just hear that and they're like, oh, I want to do six figure. And then from six figure, like people have to have done six figure to join my VIP.
Yep.
I'm not going to just take tens of thousands, of dollars from someone if I don't think they're in the right space or that they can't afford it or that they haven't done the basics first.
Or it's going to put them under financial stress, and then as soon as you take money off people of that point where it puts them under financial stress, the expectations that they have from you go exponentially higher. Like you take $10,000 off somebody who's making $200,000 a year, and it's not as significant. It's not the difference between if they've got making their payments or can grow their business. You take it off someone who's making $60,000 a year and they've got a family, and all of a sudden they expect you to personally take them to $250,000 a year in the next month. It's I can only imagine it creates a hell of a lot more stress and worries, which is I think it's pretty cool. I know someone now, I can't remember who it was that I heard, maybe it was Ramit Sethi, the American dude. I will teach you how to I will teach you to be rich or something. He's got some real corny thing, but he's pretty well respected in the kind of money mindset world or money world. But he, for his high level things, he makes people show them bank account details to say, are you making enough to do this? Because he doesn't care about the refund rates. He just cares about you need to do my $500 course, not my $5,000 course.
Yeah, exactly. That's like with my VIP, they've got to be making 10 grand a month to do VIP, and they have to have done six figure. And with six figure, I had one girl got results within 3 weeks that were her 12-month goals. So they naturally want to jump up because they're getting amazing results and they want to keep moving forward. So
and everyone wants the magic bullet. Like, if I give you more money, that equals more results. Which to a degree it does, but if you haven't got a foundation and you're trying to go from 0 to 100, it's not going to work. It's like, if you hire a high level online marketing guy, if he's like, oh, have you got your lead magnet sorted and your email campaigns and your copy and your whatever? Oh no, I haven't got any of that. I don't even know how to do that. I thought you'd do that with my Facebook ads. And then they're like, no, we do your Facebook ads. And it's that 0 to 100 mentality. But I mean, there's obviously a lot of shortcuts, and that's why you get a coach. That's why you pay someone so you can get $10,400 in 4 days instead of 4 months.
And to be completely honest, they might even get slower growth in money-wise in VIP than, because that's the 12-month program, than in six figure, which is a 10-week program, because the six figure is all about, okay, let's take you from making maybe a few grand a month to that 10 grand a month. And I think I've done it so many times now, getting to 10K a month is pretty easy now, like helping someone get there. But then when you reach 10K, what I've found, and this happened for me and for a lot of clients, it's not really about the money anymore. Because like we were talking about before, you've got your bills paid, you're putting money in savings every week, you've got an awesome lifestyle. Then it becomes maybe we will get you from 10 to 20 or 30K or whatever the goal is. But it's then about putting team in, putting systems in place, making a contribution, working on your mindset. Maybe having a life rather than just hustling all the time, it becomes much more than that.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing is, when you can have the coach and learn when you need to hustle and why you're hustling. Because I see personally, like, I don't know, you walk down the street and you see these small business owners who are just working 14 hours a day to stay afloat.
Yeah.
But they're not hustling for anything in particular. They're playing the hope game. Like,
Yeah.
if I stay open, personal trainers are freaking the biggest example of this in the world. Like,
Yeah.
if I go into this gym and I'm training a few people, I hope other people will randomly come up to me and say,
yeah,
can you train me too? And they hope and they hope and they hope, and they might get a few clients, but they have a few drop off, and then they never reach where they want to get to, which to me is like, you're sitting there going, oh, you know your stuff, but you don't know your stuff. You don't know your marketing and sales game and things like that.
Or spending time on the wrong things as well. They might, especially with online, like, so many people think online is the holy grail, but it's just as hard as building a face-to-face business.
Yeah.
And so they sit there procrastinating on Facebook, watching funny cat videos, or, you know, like going and watching some Gary Vee on YouTube, or doing a little bit of work and then cleaning the house, or, you know, and it's like, oh, I worked 15 hours today, but yeah, are you productive? Like,
And that's the thing, because at the moment I've got both. Like, online stuff and offline stuff. Online's harder, man. Like, online is to set everything up so that it gives you peace of mind is just like you're saying, the procrastination. Like, I'm working with another guy and we're setting up kind of 4 different funnels. There's going to be about 40 to 50 email sequences for each funnel.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we've got templates and things to work off, but it's still like, I'm going to have to lock myself away from Wi-Fi and away from anything for like 2 days to even make a dent in them and start setting it like that. But a lot of that stuff also involved me learning a lot of stuff over the past to roll out these things. So yeah, it's thought of as the holy grail, because people are like, I make money while I sleep.
Yeah.
But it's all the times that you didn't sleep for the previous year or two that really takes you to get there. Yeah, it is the awesome way if you can get things rolling in. I mean, and that's where I kind of want to move just to you for the last kind of few questions. Is what does your day look like now that you've kind of you've got the 3 different systems that are working? You've got something that's highly time leverageable, and then less time leverageable, and then obviously more one-on-one in small groups. What does your day look like?
So I've been ridiculously busy the last few weeks, but other than this kind of time, I am a lot better with my time and taking time off. In saying that, I have still been taking most Thursdays off, and most Saturdays and Sundays off as well. Most of my days are like, I'll work on the business 2 days a week, and I'll do little bits and pieces on other days as well, obviously, but 2 full days working with my assistant, working on the business. And that's like, any marketing stuff, content, systems, like looking at the bigger picture and getting speaking gigs and booking in different things like that. And then I have 2 full days of calls every week as well. So that's like group calls, one-on-one calls, and sales calls, which that will be less over the next few months, because I've got this guy coming in helping me with that. Plus I'm going to start selling from webinars as well, so then I can leverage my time a bit more as well. And yeah, like lately, the reason it's been so busy lately is because I've had VIP days, and I've had speaking gigs, and I've had different events and things on. I'm in Sydney at the moment. I've got the Fitness Expo this weekend. Got to try and get this US visa because I'm going to Richard Branson's Island next week. And so there's a lot of travel coming up, but I'm actually being a lot more organized. I'm a very spontaneous person, but I'm getting better. And I'm being a lot more organized. So me and my assistant are actually planning, like, the next 12 months in advance. Okay, when are you doing your events? When are you doing VIP days? When am I running retreats? So I'm not clumping too much stuff all together and get burnt out, And in that day as well, like, not just business related, but I wake up every morning now, and I used to, until recently, wake up every morning and just go, oh, I've got to get some work done, or I've got to get back to my groups and stuff like that. Whereas now I wake up every morning and I exercise first thing. And that really helps me, mentally and physically. to deal with everything that's going on. And I've lost like 7.5 kilos in the last couple of months as well. I go for a bushwalk. I have all this bushland around me, and I see the wallabies every morning, or I might do some weights in the garage, and that just really sets me up for the day. And then I'll finish a lot earlier in the afternoon than I used to, and I'll spend time with the kids, and we'll take weekends off and go out and do something together.
Yeah, nice. And I mean, it seems like it's heading towards your kind of ideal day, like where you're at. Yeah, and that's the unfortunate thing when you are a spontaneous person. Like I can feel it's like, oh, shiny object. Oh, yep, that's what I'm going for. And then you're like, oh, but now I'm committed to this, and this. I mean, I've just started using a calendar on my phone. That's how useless I am. Like I'm like, oh, I've got too much stuff I need to remember now. Like I need to be putting all of this in, and that way I can't over commit myself to things I shouldn't be. But
I was listening to a podcast the other day, actually. A neuroscientist was saying we can only remember 4 things at one time. Yeah. Maximum.
I sit there, I'm like having a conversation, I forget what I'm talking about halfway through it. So yeah, four things would be huge for me. Final question, which I'd just like to finish with: book or resource that's really had a massive impact on you that you'd recommend. It can be more than one. Out to others listening.
Yeah, when I started out, when I started out, I loved Dan Kennedy and Gary Vaynerchuk. His first book, Crush It, which was before anyone really knew him at the level he is now. He was really speaking my language when I first started out in business 6.5 years ago. Those ones. Any Gary Vee books are really good. But now, ones I've been reading recently, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks is really good. And The Values Factor by Dr. John Demartini.
Yeah, it's cool.
And there's an Oprah one as well, actually, that I really like, called What I Know for Sure. And it's really nice around like mindset and just like I guess just living life in a way that actually you're connected within yourself and you're contributing to the world as well.
No, those are cool. We'll link all of those at my assistant's going to hate me for just letting you but we'll link all of those at passiveincomeyoung.com, where you can get that and all the other previous episodes. I'd just like to welcome you to the Youngpreneurs family. It's been awesome. Yeah, looking forward to following the journey, catching up, and watching you grow.
Yeah, cool. Thanks so much.
If people want to get in touch with you, where can they go? What can they do?
They can connect with me on Facebook. So my business page is Ellie Burscough. So is my personal page. They feel free to send me a friend request. Make sure you send a message, though, if you're sending a friend request. Otherwise, I won't accept you, probably. I'll send you some random. Those are probably the best 2 places to connect with me.
Cool. We'll link all of those in the show notes as well. Awesome. All the best at your Sydney Expo this weekend. Hope it goes exceedingly well.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Youngpreneurs podcast. This was proudly brought to you by the Podcast Institute, the #1 training resource to take your business from chasing leads to leads chasing you, and from an absolute amateur to a full-blown authority. If you're looking to take your business to the next level, then a podcast is the obvious answer. You can get national and global exposure in a very fast time, and it's just exactly what I've done with this podcast. So if you want to find out more, get a checklist on how you can get started for under $60, and to find out more through a small training video that I've prepared for you all, then please check out passiveincomeyoung.com/podcast training.